Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of our F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on yesterday's, again, we had two sprint races in a row, two sprint weekends from Qatar and the USA. If you missed out on the US Grand Prix video that went live yesterday, would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, today we head south of the border into Mexico, of course. I've always felt this track is very, very good fun to race on. Does often provide much better racing inside the F1 game than it has done in real life. But before we go into that, we have got some big news as well. Later on today, obviously about 2 hours after this video has gone live, we are going to be putting up our driver poll for our Season 2 teammate in this career mode. As you can see, we're saving up some cash behind the scenes at the moment, of course, trying to look towards the future, and I have decided on the drivers that are in the running to be our teammate ready for Season 2 of this series. Now, of course, some of this does depend on budget as well, so you know, we're not going to be able to sign like a Hamilton or a Charles Leclerc, anyone like that just yet, or a Max Verstappen. But yeah, we are going to be deciding between Alexander Albon. I've just hyped him up so much in that Williams over the course of this season. We are also going to have in the running young Kevin Magnussen, because I think he's a little bit underrated inside F123 there, and at 4.5 million, I think he's an absolute steal as a potential second driver. Oscar Piastri, of course, being the third one. And then I'm also going to put the option down for an F2 driver that then, of course, we can have a look once we head into the winter about who we can afford in that regard. It would probably be Teo Porcher. So like I said, you know, don't put the comments on this video about who you want us to sign. Make sure you head over to the poll over on my community tab. Like I said, about 2 hours after this video has gone live, that will be up and running as well. So yeah, you definitely don't want to miss it. Magnussen, Albon, Oscar Piastri, or Teo Porcher. There are your four options ready for Season 2 of this career mode. But as we head, though, into this weekend, having to take some gearbox penalties. Luckily, we've actually got quite a lot of components elsewhere on the car that aren't too badly worn still at the moment. So looks like we're only going to have the 5-place grid penalty ready for this weekend. But fingers crossed, Mexico can be another good circuit for us. It's been historically quite inconsistent for myself in the past. So yeah, definitely want to try and have a good race here. Get yourself subscribed if you're new around here as well. Of course, daily My Team videos until we win the championship. But yeah, let's get into it though. Mexico Grand Prix round 20, 4 races to go. Into free practice then here from Mexico, and yeah, team just confirming then we have only picked up a 5-place grid penalty. Of course, if we end up you know, starting right at the back of the field anyway because of that penalty, so if we don't make it out of Q1, then I'm pretty tempted just to obviously put a load of extra fresh components in the car, just so throughout these final 4 races we have got, you know, a lot of ponies and everything that we could possibly ever need. But yeah, apparently rain is on the horizon, ready for GP Sunday, and to be honest, pretty certain we haven't had a Mexico Grand Prix since this track returned to F1 back in 2015. Don't know if I've ever actually done one in the game either. I feel like this could actually be quite a nasty little circuit in the rain, so we'll have to wait and see as to how we get on. But we got R&D to try and earn before we worry about that too much. To be honest, Mexico was probably one of the tracks that needed the biggest rebuild inside F123, and sadly, it doesn't look like we're going to get it still. Yeah, just a lot of inaccuracies around this venue, apparently. Like, you only really notice it when you compare it to real life, which is, you know, a bit of a shame, but hopefully, you know, perhaps it's EA, of course, F1 coders haven't had the chance to obviously get the data that they need. It's a difficult and complicated problem, but anyway, out of the final corner, up towards the line. It's been a pretty good run. We just get a purple. That's a fantastic way to start the weekend. Right, anyway, ERS practice program up next then. How is the speed looking? Of course, Mexico dominated by these 2 huge straights in Sector 1, but the rest of the circuit very, very high downforce. Looks like we got pretty competitive top-end speed. I don't often say it here in Mexico, but the car actually feels very, very good through the high downforce stuff. Purple score again then, quite easily that time. Only got the race sim run left to do, but this is promising. Right, final run then is going to be the race sim run so far. Yeah, feeling like we've actually got the setup quite nicely dialed in around this venue. Might have to obviously make some subtle tweaks ready for race day Sunday, but hopefully we can just try and smash through this final program. And we managed to do the ERS one without using any ERS throughout the entirety of the lap, so that bodes well as 211 miles an hour down at the speed trap. In a Season 1 car, I still think that's ridiculous. I must admit, Mexico is definitely another track that has been well balanced thanks to all the handling changes inside F123. I've often, like I said, gone quite well around this venue, but I've never really enjoyed it. This game, yeah, definitely, I think it still needs the tweaks, as I mentioned, but a lot more fun. So, yeah, let's get into qualifying. Well, jumping in then to Q1 here in Mexico. Of course, like I said, not too worried about where we end up qualifying here. Like I said, if we don't make it out of Q1, then we're going to take some grid penalties anyway. So, yeah, 5-place grid penalty guaranteed, as that is not the line at the first braking zone, but hopefully. I mean, I'd like to get back into Q2 again. We've been agonisingly close on a couple of occasions recently, so it would give us a good little confidence boost, but yeah, not... I mean, apparently if I'm going to keep missing my braking markers, definitely not going to happen. This has been an awful opener at the final corner, though, to finish off my very sloppy opening lap, an 18.7. We still go quicker than Aaron, but that's not a particularly promising sign in itself. Well, I'm sure if there is one driver that really wants to win this weekend, that, of course, has got to be the homeboy, Sergio Perez. Previous F1 games, I've never known a driver so unlucky in his home race as well, but he needs this win if he wants any slim shot still at the World Championship. All eyes are still on Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, but the Dutchman has had such a horrible run of form since the summer break. It really does look like, I mean, dare I say it, Ferrari could win it all. We need to try and get a good second lap in here, though. I reckon there's probably close to a second on the board that we need to find. So let's see what we can actually do there. There's an apex almost down at turn 1. Keep it clean and tidy there. Don't wheel spin off the corner, and immediately a couple of tenths found. This is perfect. See what we can do into the second chicane. Got to again try and hit our marks. Braking just for the 100 metre, or a tiny bit of front lock-in still. Just compromises the rotation on the way into the corner, but we gather it up nicely as we make our way through the top of the circuit, technically on the minimap. 3/4 of a second up. That is good. Tap the curbs. Whoa, not that much. Definitely lost myself a bit of time doing that there. Not really what I wanted as we try and throw the car through the next couple of corners. Still 3/4 of a second up though. As down into the stadium section, trying to break over the curbing, make the circuit as wide as possible, just so I keep the car on the white line. A little bit too much curb there, or it's starting just to come a little bit undone. One more corner to go though. Just try and get on the throttle nice and early, gather it up, get towards the line the shortest way possible, up over the line. What's the time going to be? I think we're still in the right P18 there, P19. P18, yeah, in the end. So we're competitive, but not quite where I wanted to be. And there we go, Carlos Sainz fastest then here in Q1, but yeah, Charles Leclerc, a bit of a nightmare down in 9th place. We were less than 2 tenths away from Q2, so I guess we can't be too disappointed with that. Again, Oscar Piastri though making a Q1 exit, and yet another GP there. Zhou Guanyu having a bit of a nightmare as well, apparently, down on the back of the grid, but yeah, second quicker than Aaron this weekend, so that's not particularly great based on recent standards, but I'm going to put a fresh power unit then completely into the back of the car. We're going to be starting from the rear of the field anyway, so let's do this.
Bienvenidos to the most populous city in North America. The legendary Jim Clark won the first official F1 race back in 1963 here, and we've had a veritable who's who of winners ever since. It's Mexico City, and therefore the Mexico City Grand Prix. 17 corners then at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 10 to the right and 7 to the left, and all of them will have to be tackled in difficult wet conditions here today. No DRS assistance either, at least not for the start of the race. The best overtaking opportunities will still be down into turn 1 or shortly afterwards into turn 4. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, Bottas, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Albon, Tsunoda, Sargent, Oscar Piastri, De Vries, Joe, Mr. Monaco, Magnussen, and the reserve driver rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. Well, it's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Right, well here we are then, ready on the grid for the Mexico GP, and well, it looks like it's going to be quite a slippery one here. Mexico's often a track as well, I forget. It's actually quite a long race anyway, 36 laps around this venue, so it's a tight technical section, of course. I think you kind of just forget because you've got those huge front straights early on. A lot of grid penalties though around the field, but guess who forgot to put all the extra engine components into the back of their car? We might have to serve some more penalties for the end of the year, but yeah, lining up P20 then on the grid this weekend. Anything can happen on a circuit like this, as Charles Leclerc is going to have to try and defend from both Red Bulls.
The rain looks like it's going to be getting much lighter over the next 10 to 15 minutes. There should be more grip, but don't expect a dry track yet.
Okay, so I mean we could still end up with a dry race coming into this, but I do sometimes wonder whether it's worth a gamble starting on these on intermediates, but not convinced. I'm trying to get as much heat into the rear tyres as I possibly can. Like I said, this could be a real step into the unknown here in Mexico. I don't think I've ever done a wet race around this venue, which is a rather weird feeling. But anyway, lining up then. Oh no, too far on the grid apparently. But yeah, P20 here for the Mexico GP. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Zhou Guanyu there responding quite nicely off the line. We're going to try and get a run on Oscar Piastri. That was wheel spinning in 5th gear. I mean, what has happened here? Perez started at the front. How is he all the way down to P15, P17 off the start there? That must have been a nightmare getaway for the Mexican as we head down in towards the first corner there, trying to look around the outside of a couple of cars as well. How many times have I said that in recent races? As Nico Hülkenberg trying just to cover me off there through turn 2. Clearly knows how much of a fast starter I am, but what a ridiculous start then to the Mexican Grand Prix with 3 wide with Hülkenberg and Stroll. Oh no. That should have been us out of the race. I broke so late there. Well, accidentally get down the inside of Yuki Tsunoda as well in the process, and maybe around the outside of Esteban Ocon. What is going on with the AI at the start of this race? We're still running the normal 104 that I've ran all season long there, but round the outside of Hülkenberg will go 10 places we've made up at the start of this GP, as I think that's Hamilton and Bottas going side by side in towards the middle sector there, but clearly right place at the right time on the run down towards someone there. Of course, one of the longest runs into a first corner in Formula 1, and look on the mini-map, Fernando Alonso is leading the way in his Aston Martin as well, so this has been a ridiculous start to the Grand Prix. Alonso, 4 races left of his Formula 1 career. He led laps last weekend in Kota, but by the end of lap 1, he's already got like a 2-second lead over Charles Leclerc there, so that has been absolutely mental off the start of this GP. What on earth? There is so much to try and find out from what's gone on there. But Alonso leads, and now Charles Leclerc still in P2 there, but Red Bull's down to 5th and about P14. Well, let's ride on board then with Sergio Perez at the start of this GP, starting on the front row of the grid, 5 red lights. And it sounds like he's got a drive problem, not able to get the throttle down where he needs it, bogs down off the line. You can see nothing the Mexican can do, and just cars streaming down his outside in towards the first corner. There goes one of the Williams, and here comes ourself into shot there down the right, but what a disaster of a start for Sergio Perez. I've never seen a start like that inside F123, trying to go brave on the brakes, but he's going to get even mugged by an Alpha Tauri in towards the first corner. And let's see then from Fernando Alonso's point of view, he started 6th place in this race. So how did he get up to the lead then off of turn 1? There you can see, spots Sergio Perez going slowly. That compromises the Mercedes in front of him and just gets fantastic pickup. That's one Merc gone, but the other Red Bull and Max Verstappen as well there. You can see Lewis Hamilton trying to defend from him down in towards the first corner, and Fernando Alonso's just going to surely knock down the middle there. George Russell understeers his way into turn 1, and Alonso will say thank you very much there. 6th to 1st at the start of the Mexico Grand Prix. That is absolutely insane and goes to show 4 races left of his F1 career. Alonso has still absolutely got it. Carlos Sainz trying to look to the outside of Lando Norris again. The former McLaren duo going side by side. I think I know which one of those two is happy that they're not in the organisation anymore, but Lando Norris going to try and make it difficult for the Spaniard there. Even more contact between them as we head out of the first couple of corners, but are we going to see Sainz be able to hook it up? We're just trying to wait in the wings, see if we sense an opportunity. You know what we do down the inside of the pair of them. No, not brave enough that time. Maybe around the outside of Lando Norris as they're still almost coming together. No, we'll bail out of that one, I think, so I don't lose my front wing. Well, already then on just lap 4, maybe the highs of the start of this race is starting to wear off and just sobering up back to reality. Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz just pulling away from me. I mean, Ocon and Tsunoda aren't, I wouldn't say, hounding me at the moment, but we're definitely going to be looking in our mirrors more than we're going to be looking in front. But strategy could still play quite a major role this afternoon. You know, when do you make the call over onto the inters? Are we going to have to make a call onto the dries late on in the day?
Stay on this tyre a bit longer, so there's no question the track's drying. We might be in a position to change soon.
Okay, Mark now is definitely listening into my conversations, which is scary. I hope he doesn't listen to me sleep, but yeah, we've just got to try and keep it on the island and stay in the top 10. Ooh. Sainz and Valtteri Bottas there having a bit of a squabble just up the road, and I don't know what Bottas has been putting on his cornflakes recently, but yeah, the flying Finn seems to have absolutely come alive in these final few races. Alfa Romeo have had such a weird season where on paper they've looked useless, but they have pretty much always been much quicker than the backmarker 3 teams. I know obviously we've been lucky to score big points where we have on a few occasions, but yeah, Alfa Romeo just always seem to finish like 12th or 14th rather than 17th, 18th like the rest of us. Oh, Sainz there, I just saw a big weave as I think the Ferrari pulled out the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo, but in doing so really cost himself a lot of momentum. Oh, Bottas, no! It was the other way round, sorry. It was the flying Finn that was getting shoved out on the outside at turn 1. So Sainz now, I'm sure, is just going to check out and fly back towards the front of the field. But Alonso is still winning this race early on. Sergio Perez having an absolute nightmare still behind Lance Stroll. I mean, I literally said in qualifying how unlucky he seems to be around this circuit. And of course, yeah, we all saw how he lost all those places at the start. Just utter chaos. I'll tell you what, the concentration required around this venue at the moment. I mean, often with wet races in F1, unless drivers are making mistakes, there's not really a lot of battling that goes on, especially around a circuit like Mexico, where it's all about the front straight, and we haven't got any DRS to, of course, get closer to each other. Norris just doesn't quite seem to have the pace to get around Bottas at the moment. Are we going to potentially be able to have a look for something on Norris at some point soon? Definitely not able to outbrake him into turn 1 there, as you can see the McLaren sliding around like a pendulum in towards that first corner. But yeah, we're all kind of just locked in at the moment, staring at the back of the Alfa Romeo. Oh, as soon as I say that, Lando Norris has gone round. Very, very odd little mistake there from the young McLaren driver, and we got a safety car in this Grand Prix, so I reckon now it's time. I've clicked the wrong button. I say we box now onto a set of intermediates. Track's starting to dry out a little bit, and I reckon, you know, 5-10 minutes behind a safety car, that might be a wise call. Well, doesn't look like anyone else at the front of the field is opting to pit in yet, so this is quite the gamble. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Yeah, it really doesn't look like anyone wants to join me then in pit lane, so this could be either a big win or a big loss for us, but at the end of the day, not too worried. Almost spared on pit lane entry as well, but yeah, we are going to get shuffled then right back to the rear of the field, but track is continuing to dry up. There are still a few puddles around the place, but free pit stop, effectively. Might lose a little bit of time, but surely it's going to go to Inters before the race is out. As now, yeah, it's both McLarens and both of our cars at the rear of the field. Can we stay ahead of Aaron? No, we can't. And I can say, almost immediately, 2 corners in, these tyres are absolutely fine. This was the way to go. There we go. One of the Mercs deciding it's time to make the call as well. Then it's so. I mean, come on, Lando, get on with it. Why aren't these drivers keeping up there? One of the Alpines into the pit lane then, so clearly they're seeing just how comfortable we immediately are on these tyres. I mean, I want to get ahead of them, of course, but yeah, Lando Norris is just not getting on with it through the final couple of turns. Dive into the pit lane, Lando. Risk it. No, he hasn't. Hulkenberg as well. Another one that has made the call, but yeah, I think we're going to still be out behind that Merc. I want to be ahead of the Alpine at the very least. Esteban Ocon, oh, we'll just about get ahead of Ocon then before the line. Yeah, that Mercedes might have just won themselves the Grand Prix. Okay, safety car coming in then at the end of lap 12, so this works out beautifully for us. Hamilton seems to be the Merc that's dived in, but yeah, surely now Hamilton, myself, Ocon and Hulkenberg are going to have a big advantage over the rest of the field. And look at that, Alonso. I think he is trying to head into the pit lane then, so basically every other car now is peeling into the pit lane. They understand it was in fact the right call. Quite a few of them staying out. Yeah, another one, but look at that immediately. Straight past Lando Norris will go. We're straight back into the points then of this Grand Prix. As the Alpine behind us there, Ocon almost binned it. We had such a big run on Lando Norris and I there as we head back down towards turn 1. That's a lot of locking up, but we gather it up nicely in towards the corner there. Have to be so careful, cadence breaking it into the apex. But Lewis Hamilton then, he's going to be trying to make progress as soon as possible. This is effectively now a battle between the intermediate runners, and you can see the gap we've got. The likes of Leclerc and Alonso, I'm sure, will still be threats before this race is down and out. But Hamilton, effectively now, we're battling the Merc for the net lead of the Grand Prix there, as Nick de Vries can't really do anything around the outside of the Dutchman. Will try and go, or just get the wheels out over the curbing. I mean, it's not awful for the AlphaTauri. It's not like they're caught on dry tyres on a wet track or something like that. As on more contact with de Vries off the corner, but it is absolutely going to put them on the back foot. These intermediates are definitely the way to go at the moment as we fly through the middle sector. So much more grip than we've had before. Hamilton to the inside of Logan Sargent as we get in towards the stadium section. And can we try and find a way past the Williams as well? Yes, we'll have a look to the inside. I mean, look at this. The race lead effectively is right there. Of course, we had that late race battle with Lewis last weekend for the final podium place. The less we talk about that, probably the better for me. But yeah, well, it was that easy mark, and now suddenly we've set new fastest lap of the day, and we're running in P2 there. I'm sure Hamilton is going to fly past me pretty quickly, or just romp away even, I should say. But, I mean, can we try and go for the lead? Surely we can. Surely not. Yeah, Hamilton, immediately we can wave goodbye to the McLaren cars. We start lap 15. Ocon as well is probably going to be a big threat this afternoon, but Charles Leclerc already less than 10 seconds back. Fastest lap of the day for the Monegasque driver. He has still absolutely got the bit between his teeth and knows he could probably still walk away with, at worst, a podium. Probably could still be within a shot of the victory depending on what the Merc's pace is like. But yeah, I mean, we've just got to try and hang on as best as possible. After bottling that podium last weekend, have we just been given a lifeline, a look-in at a second chance here? First chances are rare enough in Formula 1. Second chances don't come round often. But the other question, of course, is how well will these Inters hang on? Will we have to pit again for another set before the end? Or will we even get a switch to dries? Well, half distance then this afternoon, and Ocon now starting to breathe down the neck a little bit more. Still monitoring that gap to Charles Leclerc, though. 6.5 seconds now, but it doesn't look like he's got any particular pace over Lewis Hamilton, but I'm sure we'll want to try and take every possible point bonus he can over Max Verstappen there. But the one I do really feel sorry for in all of this, of course, has got to be Fernando Alonso. You'd think the wily old fox himself would have probably made the call into the pit lane a lap sooner had he had the choice, but is that a potential last look at win number 33 gone this weekend? Oh, yellow's out. Someone behind us has got issues. I think that might be the Alpine. No. Oh, it's Alonso. Fernando Alonso seems to have binned it now in this Grand Prix as well. And we've got another safety car. Oh, does that really change anything? I'm not convinced it does at the moment for us. I mean, it really screws us in the regard that there's going to be a lot of quicker cars a lot closer. But another weekend. We went through the first half of this season with no safety cars pretty much, and now we've had 2 weekends in a row where I've had 2. Okay. Oh, I mean, could we gamble it? Could we gamble? It worked so well first time round. There is that little temptation to pit, but I think the circuit is still too wet. Oh! Hamilton! The Merc from the lead! He's out at the Mexico Grand Prix, and suddenly we have been thrust into the lead then, here in Mexico City. I think this is the first time inside F123 we have led a Grand Prix by Hamilton out of nowhere. All we just got the message was he's got significant damage. Must be yet another power unit failure for Mercedes. And suddenly now we have been thrust into the lead here in Mexico City. I am now very scared. 15 laps to go then here from Mexico. There is still the chance for more pit stop strategies to come into this thing, but we lead the way as we're about to restart on lap 22 of 36, controlling the pace for the first time ever inside F123, and I just want to wait and time it to build up a little bit of a gap over Esteban Ocon. He's not the car I'm worried about though. It is all about Charles Leclerc there as we try and put the throttle down. We haven't done particularly well off the restart, to be honest. Ocon immediately is going to be trying to go on the offensive. He's already had a Formula 1 win. Let me have one, please. Esteban Ocon as we'll try and defend on the run down towards turn 1 there. Frenchman have a look to the outside. It's another big lock-up, though, and you can just see this time round pretty much going straight on there. And Nico Hülkenberg out of nowhere, still yet to get a podium in Formula 1. Could he suddenly now be within a shot of a Grand Prix victory as we get the throttle down off the exit the corner? Hülkenberg now up in a P2, and I'd much rather the Haas than the Alpine, to be completely honest there. It's a much less competitive machine, but we are still somehow in the lead of the Mexico Grand Prix. I'm trying to hang on for dear life now as just still monitoring. Can Charles Leclerc find a way in as Hülkenberg now and Esteban Ocon side by side behind us? There's only one thing for it. Run away as fast as we can. 2/3 race distance then. Ocon is still applying the pressure to myself, but Hülkenberg seems to be able to absorb the pressure from Charles Leclerc behind him. We're just trying to ride the throttle as early as we can out of the final corner every time around, but we know how competitive that Alpine is down a straight. Still 12 laps to go here. A lot can and potentially will change. Team's still a little bit worried then about the tyre life of these intermediates, but we're either pitting onto dries or we're not pitting at all between now and the end of the day. Hülkenberg still, I mean, I'd love to see him get his first ever Formula 1 podium as well, but I don't want to start letting the thoughts run away just like we had in USA or we had at Monza. I've been a bit of a bottle job late on in races before. Please not today. But Hülkenberg now starting just to drop away ever so slightly from Ocon and myself. The Frenchman getting closer and closer.
Let's hold on to the inters for a little while longer.
Big rear lock-up down at turn 1, but we managed to keep it all under control. Less than 10 laps to go now, but we're starting to run out of ERS that we can use everywhere. Ocon again is probably just sensing, waiting for his chance. He knows he can be patient. It's only in kind of the final 5 laps or so we'll start to get desperate, as of course we are on the oldest set of intermediates out of anyone in the entire field, but it's how we got into this position in the first place. If we box now, I want to go softs to the end. No, Charles Leclerc now has moved past Nico Hülkenberg in this race, so, I mean, unless Ocon can put up a stout defence, surely now the Alpine driver will kind of be feeding. Well, let's get past him and hope that I can defend from Charles. We've got a bit of beef with Charles, remember, this season. Zandvoort, probably the most notable example of it, so I'm sure if he gets into P2, he will not go easy on me. Right, rain has now completely stopped then here in Mexico. Is it worth gambling? Is it worth diving into the pit lane for a set of soft compound tyres? The last thing I want late on here is for me not to. The AI do it and undercut me. Then I've got no chance at defending from Ocon and co. I am so nervous, so scared in the dying stages of this GP. But is it worth gambling? I'm not convinced just yet. There's still a bit of spray getting kicked off the tyres. I want to trust Mark, but I'm not convinced.
Okay, looks like some of those puddles are clearing. We're still definitely on the right tyre for the time being, but we're probably not a million miles away from slick conditions.
Oh, that doesn't help, Mark. Is it going to be one of those ones where half the field stay out on inters and the other half go on to dries in the final 6 laps here? Hulkenberg, he's already down to P4. The podium dream continues to elude the German, but he might now get jumped by George Russell as well. Tyre wear warning lights flashed up now on these inters, so they are not going to be fun in these final few laps. The spray has stopped being kicked up so much on the car. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. We are peeling into the pit lane with just a handful of laps to go then here in Mexico. This might be the biggest move of this season for us. Surely, I mean, no one else is coming in, but that was the right choice earlier on in the afternoon. I think these tyres were absolutely going to start hitting the cliff anyway pretty soon, and hopefully we won't come out in any traffic either. So we head back out of the pit lane. Oh, I'm so scared. DRS has been enabled. Have we timed this? Have we potentially timed this? Or is it because I'm the one that's pit that the game has now gone, well, someone's on dry tyres? It's worth it. We'll get confirmation pretty much immediately as we get back on the brakes down at turn 1. We've got grip. We've got grip here. Nick de Vries just in front of me. We're closing in. I don't want to say too soon yet, but we might not have made a bad choice here. Charles Leclerc seems to have instantly moved past Ocon in the process, so the Ferrari's still going to be going for it, but I think we've timed this. I genuinely believe we've timed this. Look at the run we've got. Nick de Vries again got caught up behind him through this technical sector after we'd made the switch on to inters, so we've got to make sure we don't lose much time. But I mean, we've got to get round him. We've got to get round him because Charles Leclerc, I'm sure, is still pushing at the front of the field. Look at the grip we've got over Nick de Vries as we'll open up the DRS. Heading down in towards the final couple of corners. Round the outside we'll go. A little bit wide there, but we'll make it through. But none of the AI is still pitting purple through the middle sector. Are we going to have to try and win this thing on the road? And confirmation then, this is definitely the right time to be going on. 1 second taken out of Alonso in sector 1. We are going purple. Charles Leclerc, new fast lap of the day, 27.3. How competitive are we going to be in comparison to that? How far behind Charles Leclerc are we going to be as well late on? Because we are about to have to put on an overtaking masterclass. Lance Stroll, 27.0 new fastest lap. We do a 24.0, 3 seconds faster than Lance Stroll there. And surely that gap's going to continue to go up and up against the AI. But Charles Leclerc's got to still be, what, 15 seconds up the road? Down the inside of Alonso will go. I mean, look at the grip we've got on the brakes there. The confidence. This could be a ridiculous end to what has been such a ridiculous race anyway. DRS now enabled. We've got the speed over Lando Norris, or at least the traction anyway, to the inside. I can't afford to get stuck there. Oh, almost into the back of Logan Sargent, but we need to try and get creative with these overtakes because every move now is absolutely critical that we lose as little time as possible. This is what Ocon and Charles Leclerc have got to be banking on, that I lose time behind other cars. And at the moment, Zhou Guanyu, what are you doing? I'm on soft tyres against you on inters on a dry track. We've just got to absolutely fly. I mean, we've got 3 laps to go after this one. You can see the speed we've got to the outside of Alex Albon, who again is going to try and defend from me. Squeeze me out, but a little bit of front locking again. I keep doing that down there. But no prisoners. Nothing is going to be held back now late on in the day. As I mean, we've already made so many places up this lap. Down the inside of Oscar. He tried to pinch me, but I'm not having it. We want this win here in Mexico. 3 laps to go. And now that gap you can see is just the front straight. Can we try and get DRS off Yuki Tsunoda? We absolutely will. I mean, yeah, all these moves surely are done deals, but this track just needs to absolutely dry out and destroy everyone's set of inters. That's what I'm hoping for. Oh, Stroll, don't do this. Down the inside of the Canadian. I mean, we're definitely going to get back in the points. But I'm not interested in a couple of measly points. I want the win here today, but time is running out. The clock is ticking down. As Sainz now is going to get a run on Magnussen. Are we going to try and get down the inside? Oh, a little bit of contact with the Ferrari. Somehow we get away with no front wing damage, but that's the grip we've got over the AI there. Down the inside of 2 cars. Magnussen still able to defend from the Spaniard, and immediately you can see how quickly it's like a multi-class endurance race at the moment. You can see now that gap with 2 laps to go is only about 2/3 of the front straight. 23.2, another new fast lap of the day. I've got no idea what times the AI is set, and you can see we've got a run on Bottas, but we don't even have the DRS on him. That's how far back we were as we went onto the straight. Down the outside we'll go. Bottas, no real point. Oh, a little bit of contact, I apologise there to myself and the Flying Finn, but yeah, we need to be ahead of these cars ASAP. I know I keep saying it, but this is such a ridiculous end to the Mexico Grand Prix. I mean, we could still get Ocon, but Charles Leclerc, fortune favours the brave. Many would argue I've been the brave one at the moment, but it'll be who gets to the flag first. That's all we care about at the moment. Oh, a little bit of contact again, just so not used to the AI being this slow. And you just don't quite know what they're going to do there around the outside of Sergio Perez. And he must be thinking, what on earth is in the back of that car? As we are just flying. Hulkenberg, of course, has been promoted back into the podium places, but is not going to get away with it. As we go down the inside, and Max Verstappen as well there. George Russell. Oh, almost into the back of Hulk. Just got way too late there. Just not used to how early the AI having a break, and now we can see Ocon 7 seconds up the road. Charles Leclerc even further than that, but 1 more lap to go then at the Mexico Grand Prix. They pit! Why have they pit onto the final lap there? Surely not. Surely not. Russell and Perez have stayed out. Sergio Perez might get a podium after a nightmare start to this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc's dropped down the order. Luckily for him, Verstappen is going to pit as well. But why has everyone gone for that on the final lap? They should have done it laps ago if that was the plan. But suddenly now, I didn't think, honestly, I wasn't convinced we were going to win this. It was going to be so tight between Leclerc and I on this final lap. But now, after such a ridiculous race, we can sit back, we can breathe, we can relax, we can enjoy ourselves here. Still want to try and make sure. I think we've got fastest lap on lockdown, haven't we? We, in all the seasons I've ever done, on all the F1 games of F1 My Team, we have never won a race in the first season of career mode. It's just not been possible unless you get the biggest stroke of luck in the world. And today, of all days, we had that mega start. We had the perfect pit strategy on both occasions to dive it in early, to take the gamble. A wet to dry race here in Mexico. I said this track either delivers crazy races or quite disappointing results. But through the final corner, 212 Motorsport, we are Grand Prix winners on F123. Get in there.
Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
So after a day of mixed fortunes up and down the field, we bring today's race to a close. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
Well, this was won through an abundance of speed and skillful overtakes. Inside, outside, cutting underneath, we saw it all today. And it's really nice to see a Grand Prix won in that manner. A race to satisfy the purists today, I think.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today. After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri's strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
We will never, ever get a race like that again inside the Formula One games. 20th to 1st in what is still on paper the slowest car in Formula One, but it goes to show, as the great Ayrton Senna used to say, you have to be on the right tyres at the right time. Fortune favoured the brave this weekend, and that strategy call onto the softs, I genuinely don't think was going to work until the very last lap there. I think we were going to get Ocon, but I'm not sure we would have had enough time to get Charlie Boy there. But we take the win. George Russell in at P2 there. Sergio Perez, after a nightmare early on, will come through for P3 ahead of Lance Stroll there. Magnussen, Tsunoda beats out Alex Albon there in a critical points battle late on in the championship between the backmarker teams. Charles Leclerc beats out Ocon, and Lando Norris will come through for P10 there. Logan Sargent barely missing out on his first F1 points, and Hulkenberg, it could have been a podium. It could have been a podium for Nico Hulkenberg, but it is all for nothing when all is said and done there. And in all of that, Zhou Guanyu, somehow, I'm a bit annoyed he's taken a fast lap there, winning 11.4. Must have retired on the final lap of the afternoon. And Alonso, he should have been our 7th different winner this season. He walks away with 19th place there, an absolute nightmare for the Spaniard come the end of the weekend. But that means championship-wise, not only are we now inside the top 10, we're up to 9th place then, tied with Lance Stroll there. And surely that means in the battle between myself and the Alpines, we should be able to hang on ahead of them. Charles Leclerc now a 17-point lead over Max Verstappen in the championship. Sergio Perez closer, actually, sorry, very, very close even, I should say, to his teammate. 24 points back there. And George Russell, been a bit of a consistency king this year. He's only 42 points back as well there. Sainz and Hamilton look like they're just going to be battling it out for P5 come the end of the year. Alonso looks pretty locked in to P7 as well. But further down the order then, big points for Tsunoda and Albon, push them ahead of Magnussen and Valtteri Bottas there as well. And I mean, Alfa Romeo, because of all of that, Alfa Romeo, we were literally talking early on this afternoon how they'd been so consistently better than AlphaTauri, Williams, even necessarily Haas and ourselves. They're probably going to finish last come the end of this campaign there, through bad luck for them, and pretty much that only there. Ferrari, 26 points behind Red Bull as we head into the final couple of races of the campaign. It is all still to play for between them at the top of the table. We're pretty much safe from Haas. Unless they get a miracle run, we should be safe from them. And I mean, potentially, we could try and get close to Alpine and McLaren if we got another lucky race. But there we go then. I mean, that's the best F1 race we're going to get on F123. Thank you all so much for watching this video as always. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And we will be back very, very soon. Tomorrow, in fact, when Formula One returns ready for the Brazilian GP. Our final sprint race weekend of the season. You guys do not want to miss that. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members. So a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below. And yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.